All this is Dr. Mobeen Sayed. Welcome to one more show. So thank you very much. This is our favorite time of the day that we'll do a chit chat. Oh, Gold Country Russ is here. Wow, Gold Country, how are you? So John Snyder was one today. He was number one today. Welcome, John Snyder. Uh, Lisu says first to like. Thank you very much. You're the best, Lisu. Finn Bean. Uh, so the so I'll have to be short today at this time because I have a interview tomorrow morning. There is a nice host. Her name is Alison Morrow on Odyssey. I think, she had a video which said I was fired for my COVID-19 videos. Excuse me. So I think it is a weird time of the life that people are just attacking anyone they think they don't agree with. The tolerance is just gone. And so I have an interview with her tomorrow. So I will be on Odyssey. I think she would record it tomorrow and then she would edit it and upload it later on. But 9:30 in the morning, I'm going to be with her. So with your permission, um, I'm going to wind up a little early today so I can go to bed earlier. So Art says video focus is out. How is the focus now? I may have been sitting a little away. So tell me, how is everyone? Doug is here. Hello. Nipa is here. Hello. Muhammad bin Shida is here after a long time. Hello. How are you? Drbeen is here. So give me a good question that we can all enjoy when we talk about it. John Snyder says initial response draw a lot of criticism, lots of dead people who didn't need to die. That's true. Roman says back at it. Lisu says fab lecture. So thank you very much. Lisu, what did you think? And to all the cool beans here, what did you think of the discussion? It is possible, I still believe it. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, that there may be more waves that we would see, but it is going to start becoming more of a nuisance for us, common cold for us. And the other thing, as much as I believe it is becoming an endemic in many countries, the pandemic status is not gone yet. We should not be mistaken to stop calling it a pandemic. And the reason for that is pandemic, by definition, is when the pathology or the pathogen is traveling across the borders. This is continuing to travel across the borders. So it's not that there is no more pathogen coming in or going out and we are just handling it within our own communities. It is still going to be traveling. So it is going to be a pandemic. Pandemic will be wrapped up slowly, but I don't think it is just going to be, we should start calling it endemic. I wanted to make that one point and I forgot to make it in the last discussion. So Christine, I should actually talk about Canada as well at some point. So I'll do that. Yeah, so Kelly, I remember that Sweden's the leader, he had said that if I had a chance, I would handle it differently. So give me a good question. Kate says, what candy is the best at Halloween? Is only safe question. So I was actually thinking of making a cartoon, Halloween monstery like cartoon. So let me show you. Maybe um, I have it somewhere over here. I was doodling that this morning. Then I stopped it very fast because because I was my arm. This arm is not giving me a choice nowadays. So check this cartoon out. I was making it this morning. So imagine that there is a medical student. So I'm always thinking about medical students, nursing students, and their studies and their rigor and the hard work. So this is medical students' books. I had actually made a monstrous medicine as well. You know, the medicine as a study subject. It's a difficult thing. The whole medicine. So that monster is sitting here and the brain is saying, I'm out, I'm done, too much. And then I made one more. So These are just my proof of concepts. I would have polished them later on. And this was a monster, let's say medicine, is cooking or frying a brain. So I was going to say, hey, if your brain is fried by medicine, watch Dr. Bean. So I was trying to make that in the context of Halloween. So tell me, how did you think of these cartoons? I have to stop doodling. My arm then hurts. Okay, so Andrew, this is a good question. So type O blood really offer protection. It does offer some protection from severity because of the factor VIII defect or genetic abnormality in the factor VIII that creates somewhat of a bleeding tendency. And there are various stages, not stages, intensities of it. Some people just don't even know. And some people actually have a more intense bleeding tendency in blood group O. So in the Chinese study, this was a Chinese study, they observed that people with blood group O had less clotting tendency, which protected some of the cytokine storm related clotting that would occur. So that was a protection. So that means not in everyone. Margaret says, please protect your arm. Thank you very much. I am doing my best, just like I did not do much drawing. I drew this in the morning and my arm started hurting. And I said, okay, not drawing. So I, instead of the brain saying I'm out, I should made an arm saying I'm out. So this is a very good question. Lizzie says, how does the messenger RNA vax induce shingles? So I think it doesn't directly induce shingle, but it brings the immune system down enough and dysregulated enough with those cytokines and with chemokines going everywhere that it causes flare-ups and it causes opportunistic infections. So opportunistic infection is that when immune system is not able to fight everything because it is too busy or too weak, then the opportunistic pathogens would start popping up. And the flare-ups are when, and we know with the COVID, there can be cytokine like storms when there are too many cytokines being released that go and activate the immune system cells that can cause immune system related inflammation, which can then trigger other things. As we saw, for example, EBV, when the inflammatory signals come to bone marrow and the cells start dividing, EBV gets a chance to start dividing and increasing in number. So these are the kind of possibilities. There is no direct study to say how COVID exactly causes shingles, or not causes. In some people, results in activation of shingles. Kira Shrem says, what might be 3 concrete ways to tell that this virus has morphed into a more benign strain when the unvaccinated get less ill despite having no antibodies, T or B cell responses? So, of course, we are seeing that the death rates are actually, the problem is this. There is the people who were more vulnerable, they in the very first wave got trapped with this virus. So as the virus continues to cause damage, the people that are left are more and more healthier or more and more careful and more vaccinated and more already recovered and so on. So there is a protection that is building up in the world's population. So virus itself has to become, it would have resistance from us, and that it is getting. But if we want to say that, how do we tell if it is weaker or not? The best way to tell if it is weaker or not is not the affinity. If you look at the virus's affinity, that is how fast does it bind to the cells, then delta is actually stronger because it is highly affine. It is more affine than other viruses, but it doesn't cause as much of the damage in terms of deaths as the earlier one were doing. Although folks say that is not the case, but I think that is what we saw, and that is what we are seeing, that as people develop immunity, delta is not able to continue to hammer them that bad as previous strains. One area where delta has a leg up is that it is not letting any other variant dominate yet, strain, variant dominate yet. Delta plus, people say they will see, but this may be actually a good thing for us, that as we become more and more used to handling Delta, there is no new variant. So, three ways, concrete ways to tell the best ways to actually attack with the Delta to the cells and see how does the immune system respond. And the second best way is to look at the stats. Very good question. Thank you. I need to go to an ergonomist. That is correct. Um, I know how did I hurt this arm. Remember that Sunday video I made that was 7 minutes video for um, Novavax? That 48 hours of work, I just sat like this and did the work. That killed it. And since then, every day when I sit down like this and start doing it because my keyboard is here and my drawing tablet is here. And I sit like this towards my keyboard, and that is just bad posturing. It's me who is causing my damage. Um, but then I put it on you. I'm bad. So, the one and only, fully vaccinated with Pfizer, end of Feb. Got breakthrough wild type in August. What to do next? If it were you, would you get booster? So, I'm just going to give you an answer from me. If I was fully vaccinated, then I got a vaccine, sorry, the virus, and I recovered fine. That's a big booster. I would not go for a, if I have proved to myself that I can handle the virus, I'm not going to go get a booster. So I say this to my, when I'm sitting with my family members or my friends, I sometimes joke that giving a vaccine, and again, please, it's not about you. If you feel that, hey, I should get a booster, because booster depends upon your health, your immune status, your body's status, organ status, your age, nutritional status, obesity. There are so many factors that factor in. So I cannot actually, I'm talking about myself. And I'm also not, I'm telling you a joke. So it's not, please don't take it anywhere else. I joke with my family that if I have proven that I can handle the virus, then asking me to take a vaccine is like if I'm sleeping, to wake me up and say, please take your sleeping pill. But once again, I'll go back to this. That was just some levity. I will go back to this, that boosters can be needed for some cases. You got a big booster by having the infection. Your body status is something that should tell you to take a booster or not. Age, comorbidities, all of that. So that is you and your doctor. Gift says hugging Luffy puts out the storm. Yes. M. Gregory, this is a very good one. Can you do a lecture on alternatives to animal testing? I think that's a beautiful topic. Gregory, what I have seen is that whenever I deviate from COVID like topics, nobody watches. And so my videos just fall flat. So, alternative to animal testing. That's actually a good one. And alternative not only to animal testing, but testing using fetal cell copies. I think these both are important topics. And I think our healthcare industry needs a nudge to get out of it. They are going in a particular set of rules, regulations, everything is set, and they are good in it. And just like vaccine companies are not making better vaccines because they're good in this one and nobody is pushing them, similarly industry is just, it's not changing because it doesn't have to change. So Ashley, this is a good question. Why are some post-vaccine having neuro issues and others are completely fine? So exact mechanism escapes me even now. So John has actually shared a bunch of um, studies and papers, and I need to go through them to see what is going on. The one that I know, I think, is more of an older news, and that was um, the inflammation in the vascular system in the brain that causes local congestion, which then causes other neurological symptoms. And one, remember, I did a video called Glymphatic System. If you look for my videos, I did that about a year ago. One way in which I explained the Can you can you see me? Okay, so this is Windows for us. My Mac never did it. It just hung. It just hung. And then it just came back. So Lizzie says, did Luffy pull the plug? Absolutely. I think it is Luffy. It just by itself, it hung. My mouse did not work. My network became disabled. My speakers are off. And then a few minutes later, it just started again. Oh well. So we're going to go back to that question. That was a good question. Where was that question? Nancy says, welcome back. Thank you very much for having me back. Um, what was the question? It was a good question. Oh, well. So John says, what is the best way to support Dr. Bean? So here is what I found. Patreon charges me $250 plus another few hundred per month. Uh, PayPal, I believe, takes 5% or so. Uh, but I think PayPal is, YouTube takes 30% of everything that comes in. And I think PayPal is less, plus the tips on Odyssey are 5% only. So everybody has a different math. All right. So neuro issues. Yes, Denise, thank you very much. So the patients that I have seen so far, the basic idea was, please watch my lymphatics video. The basic idea was that there is more pressure in the brain because of the inflammation, and that causes the tinnitus or the other neurological symptoms. Patients that I had been managing, giving them ivermectin used to work very well. Then I saw that some would relapse afterwards too. And when they would relapse, ivermectin like things will not really help too much. Lately, I saw, so of course, I'm always on the lookout to say, how are other doctors helping? One of my family members, she developed neurological symptoms. She became 100% okay with the I recover like protocol, including her neurological symptoms. And then a month later, she relapsed. And when she relapsed, I recover didn't do anything. And this time, when she went to a doctor, that doctor gave her Naltrexone. I mentioned it before as well. And her neurological symptoms disappeared. Her symptoms were, she said, one, I stay confused. Number one. Number two, she said, when I go out for groceries or other things, everything seems like it is going fast too. Third, she said, I cannot focus with my eyes very well. So I have to make sure that I look at my phone screen or look at other things that are going fast in a very tactful way because I cannot focus on things. Then she developed in the middle tinnitus as well for, I think, for a couple of weeks. So she was getting full blown neurological symptoms. She even developed tachycardia at one point. And then, with the I recover continuing and adding naltrexone, she just became absolutely fine. She actually called me yesterday and said, I am doing great. And she was in trouble. She would just go out and get a trigger and have neurological symptoms. So how did naltrexone help her? I have no idea. What is the mechanism? What was going on? So this is number one to say, today when I talked with her, so I talked with her every day. Today when I spoke with her, I said, so what are the meds you're taking? And she said, I'm taking I recover. So that means she's taking flu, she's taking ivermectin, she's taking low dose steroid. With that, she said, there are two things that are really helping and I cannot quit them at this time, or she's afraid of quitting them. One is naltrexone and the other one is glutathione. She said these are the two that are very important for me. So that is what she's doing. So that is the only and additional thing. Miraviroc is something I have never tried. Dr. Bruce Patterson, Dr. Ram, and their team use that. I have never tried it. It is very expensive as well. It has a lots and lots of possible potential issues too. And why I'm saying this is, people should not take it over the counter. I know in some countries one can just take things over the counter. Please don't do it. This can cause a lot of damage. So everything with your doctor's advice, with the proper monitoring, and then going from there. All right, let's see. So I understand the mechanism of naltrexone, but how does that work with COVID is something that is interesting. Oh, give me a second. Luffy's outside. What happened, Luffy? Luffy? What happened? Sorry. So Luffy was outside. He just came back. He came back so late at night. Okay, so let's see. Another good question. Um, yeah, that was a quick Luffy break, Doug. Um, so yes, I spoke with Ram. So Patterson has a study paper coming out, and he said that will be out in 2 weeks, and I would like us to come and discuss that paper with you. So hopefully in 2 weeks we'll have Dr. Patterson and Ram. Dr. Ram Yupendra. I call him Ram because he's younger than me and he was a friend of my class fellow of my medical director at Drbeen. Correct, Barbara. So I'm going to work on this. I know this mechanism, but how does it help COVID patients? What is going on? I'm going to look into that. Texas says need me a meal. Absolutely. Um, so, Patizik, this is a very good question. Can recovery from SARS-CoV-1 provide any immunity to SARS-CoV-2? So their data was the studies that they did with SARS-CoV-1. Short answer, yes. Long answer, how much is not known. Originally from SARS-CoV-1, when they did the studies, they showed that SARS-CoV-1 related immunity, not 2, related immunity went for 2 to 3 years. Now, there could be cross immunity because 86% of the virus is the same. So, I do not know if a vaccine can offer that or not, but from a natural infection point of view, there can be cross immunity because we'll have antibodies to majority of the virus parts. So, even if they're different, they can be attacked. T cells for SARS CoV 1 were shown to be there for 10 years and possibly maybe more. So, generally, it seems I saw a study as well that said SARS CoV 1 patients may have better response to SARS CoV 2, but I did not read it thoroughly, so I can't say. But it's a good question. So, have you seen the Fluvoximinacity that came out today? No, I heard about it. I was preparing for this one, so I will discuss that tomorrow. And I would write it down so I don't forget. Richard Cooper says, I'm hearing it is safe to touch items, groceries, mail, packages. We don't have to wipe things down with disinfectant. Is this true? Why? So, I have done this discussion in the past. Basically, let me share my screen to explain. I look at this one, my cartoon, and it said brain out. So, I should probably make an arm over here. My arm. So, how would my arm be? So, my arm will be something like this. And it says, so these are the feet of the arm, and these are arm's eyes. And arm is saying, hey, I'm out. Arm out. Okay, so sorry, um, quick cartoon for you, arms cartoon. All right, talking about your concept here. So look, SARS-CoV-2 or coronaviruses are enveloped, correct? Because they are enveloped, that means they have fluid in them, just like our cells. The actually the membrane on the SARS-CoV-2 is the membrane it steals from our cells when it is getting out of our cells. It takes a piece of Golgi apparatus's piece with it and takes it as a cover, and that is the envelope. And then it has spike proteins and stuff. That means it has a very fragile skin. Imagine cell membrane sitting out in the environment. It is such a delicate thing. Now, if you talk about a surface, and we have done this discussions before, for SARS-CoV-2 to survive in the environment, it needs moist and wet surfaces to live on. It can live on them longer because it can have water available to it. So as its water dries and evaporates, it can actually suck in more water from the surface and stay hydrated and stay viable. But if you put it on a surface, let's say this is a plastic coated surface or clean, neat surface with less pores in it, it can survive there for some time. But if you put it on a surface that has more pores in it, so let's say cardboards or other packaging which may have holes and have paper, and you know that paper has a tendency to suck up the water. That's why we have kitchen towel paper. So let's say this is a surface with a with it's a surface of a packaging, and they are usually not very expensive packaging, and they have holes in them. Now when the SARS-CoV-2 sits on this one, this packaging is going to suck the water out of it very fast. And the bad thing, the SARS-CoV-2, our enemy, is going to go flat very fast and become less viable. Once it shrinks and collapses, not hydrated anymore, the RNA is going to shrink away, just like when other things die, their things just disintegrate. So RNA is going to start disintegrating. It's not viable anymore, and then it's gone. Now, I have always said it that even on a paper type packaging, it also depends what is the density of the deposit. So, for example, I'm going to gross you out. Imagine somebody has snot on a grocery packaging. So somebody was not clean-handed, they had snot on their hand, then they applied it in the grocery package, and now there is a thick layer of snot, which, let's say, has viruses in it. Now, even if it is a paper package, this virus might stay viable on this one as well for a longer period of time. So that means it's not a general formula to say every surface is okay or not every surface is okay. Or on plastics, it would stay for 2 days, and on paper, it would stay for 6 hours. It really depends how it is deposited, what was that surface, did that suck it up, how was the moisture in the environment, was it sunny or not, was it lit up or not, what was the temperature. Eventually, what you want is the virus itself to give away the water, become dehydrated, and break down and die. That's what we want. So it really then depends upon the grocery packages. What is the pack? If you have a package that is very neatly, wrapped in cellophane, and it is all packaged up um, with an expensive packaging, that may actually be viable for the virus to live there for some time. And by some time, I mean maybe a day or two. But if it is cardboard like packaging or rough paper packaging that can quickly suck the water, it's going to kill it very fast or make it inviable very fast. So that is the answer. Kira Shan says, do antivirals, ivermectin, like vaccines, give any T helper or T suppressor cells a head start in mobilizing to help body get rid of virus, or do they simply kill the virus? No, so they are more virustatic or virucidal. They are not anything more than that. Other than immune system is going to do its own thing as well, while they are trying to hold the virus down. Sarah, thank you very much. I saw a super chat here. Lucille Ann says, tonight in the FLCCC Zoom meeting, I thought the doctor said that if you had the early alpha variant, it does not mean you would be immune to delta or further variants. What are your thoughts? So when I disagree with folks, then then I become the target of people being upset with me who may like those doctors. So let me explain it this way. And what I'm going to explain can be confirmed. From SARS-CoV-1 and MERS-CoV, so 1 or MERS, to SARS-CoV-2, there is an 86% genetic match. 14% is difference. Even then, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, even then it is thought that any immunity against this may be cross-reactive to this. Similarly, not only that, human coronavirus, I talked about that study a few days ago where they said if somebody was infected with a common cold caused by human coronavirus and then with SARS-CoV-2, their chances of managing their infection and be less symptomatic and less severe were better. That means there is cross-reactivity. Now, between the alpha and delta, the total difference, so let's say here are the guys, the total difference is 27, 13, 24, depending upon the various variants and the amino acids, not percentage. And the amino acids are, this thing is what, thousands and thousands of amino acids. So it's not even 0.1% of the difference between them. That means if your body learned to attack alpha, it, for a greater part, majority of the part, it would know how to attack delta as well. That is one answer. Second part of the answer, if God forbid, we just do not know how to attack delta from any of our previous infection, then we would still be able to attack delta because our immune system attacks things that come in. But that's a different discussion. Now, is there similarity between them? Yes. And I want to actually tell you the exact similarities. So let me quickly Google number of amino acids in COVID. Not COVID, I should have said SARS-CoV-2. COVID is a disease in SARS-CoV-2. So the total length of SARS-CoV-2 spike protein is 1273. I wish I can just see the total length of the virus itself. This is S1, S2, this is spike protein. Just the spike protein is 1273. The virus itself, what is the total length? I think it is, what is the size? Wow, this is actually interesting. As you can tell, they are actually showing B117 to B351 and so on. And total, look at the total number of deletions, or 1, 2, 3, 1. So that is how tiny the changes are. These changes are not even a full percent. They are in fraction of a percent. With these changes, if our body has learned to attack this guy, it is going to attack this guy as well. So if you have immunity to alpha, you're going to have immunity to delta as well. That's from a mechanism's point of view. So if, now one more point here, if delta had become so much changed that the difference from alpha became so much that they were just totally not handleable like a similar thing by our immune system, then this virus will be called SARS-CoV-3. This will not be called SARS-CoV-2. Gold Country says the Israel study proved conclusively that was not the case. Immunity from Jan-Feb 2020 were great against current. Yeah. I was just making sure that we talk in terms of mechanism as well. This can be verified. You can actually go and check the percentage difference, and you would see I am so sorry I could not find the exact number of base pairs. They are, I think, 23,000 or so. Out of them, 6 or 7 or 10 or 12 or 27 are the one that are changed. Everything else is similar. How would we not attack this virus? What we are saying is just one tiny bit of a change here. And that change is so small. So, no, we'll attack it. I have always mentioned that the only way we would not be able to attack a virus from now to later is if our immune system has become changed. God forbid there are people who become sick, and can be any of us. They can become sick. There are people who develop cancers, leukemias, diabetes can become uncontrolled, immunosuppression can occur. They may be put on drugs that are immunosuppressant. There may be bone marrow radiations. So there are so many reasons that a person's immune system may not be the same a year later. That's a different problem. It is also possible that the virus is not the same, but if that is the case, that the virus is so different that our previous antibodies or immune training cannot handle it, then it's a SARS-CoV-3. And then what other things can happen? This is it. So neither we have SARS-CoV-3, and people's situation, everybody is different, and so they will have to look into that. Shane says, have we seen memory wane yet? So Shane, I discussed the book a few weeks ago, ninth page on microbiology and immunology by Abbas, I believe. It's a very good book, very popular book. On ninth page, it says, this was written in 2019, before SARS-CoV-2. So they were not managing it for SARS-CoV-2. They said fourth month, usually the immunity starts waning. This is a normal process for us. DDS says your bed is calling. Yes, I have to wake up in the morning. Okay, let's answer some more questions and then I'll go. Uh, so this one, Mr. G says, is it possible for the vaccinated to create variants? No. Could the vaccine prevent antibodies with the same broad spectrum as natural infection? No. So I know the person who is behind these theories, and these are not correct theories. So Ale Sanderate says, replicating viruses give lasting immunity. Why not making a non-inactivated virus vaccine, taking out the spike protein and replacing it with bits used by less dangerous viruses to enter our cells? So there are inactivated viruses, but I would never, so my personal opinion, I would never take a chance on this virus to have any possibility of replicating. But I understand what you're saying. Just take the spikes out. So, Henry, I cannot offer a personal advice. Um, my wife is in my age range, and she took Johnson and Johnson. She's above 40, female, and of course, female. At least my wife is female. So I wish that she had Moderna or Pfizer. Rima, did you lol at my clarification? Janet says, I'm going to tweet to you an article from Medium. It's on CD147 receptors. I've talked about CD147 before as well. Sure, please tweet. But I've done that discussion. There is actually a full video I did about it. Um, Skyfrog says, "What are your latest stock picks so far? You've been right. Thank you." So you would find it funny. In my whole family, I am the biggest loser with the stocks. Anytime I buy a stock, that goes down until I my stock is zero, or I sell it and then it starts going back up. So I am the most uh, losing hand with the stocks. My son does much better than I do. Richard says, is it more likely for upcoming variants to develop in low vax parts of the globe that break through vax? And can mass ivermectin prevent this development? Um, so, a few things. If you look at countries with less vaccination, there are not much variants coming from there and not even much infection spreading there. So, there are more mechanisms than just meaning less vaccinated countries are fortunately being protected as well. I would hate to say anyone who's not vaccinated should have a bad infection just to prove that vaccination is the only way. There are many other ways. Number one. Number two, I feel that ivermectin has a very good chance of helping. Teresa says, why do doctors say only 1 month of protection after COVID? No, that's not true. We just did a study for many, many months. There is protection, some stronger protection than other vaccines as well. Gold Country says, I've been gone. How is Jana doing? I think she's doing well. She was here a few days ago. So, Diversity Love says, Mr. G and Dr. Bean, I'm concerned that the pill encourages mutations of the virus so it is less infectious, but there is a possibility, however small, that it can make more infectious. So, for the molnupiravir, it does not make the virus less infectious by providing raw material that is fake. It actually just stops the replication, ideally, in theory. It stops the replication of the virus. The virus that has gotten incorrect raw material inserted in it, it cannot come out viable because this little fake raw material, when virus tries to work with it, the machine, the enzymes, they get stuck on that raw material and they just, this is like really throwing a monkey wrench in a machine. The virus just cannot replicate anymore. So it's not even a possibility of a changed virus. There is no virus because half of it would not even be built. Okay. So so did you hear that Merck is giving a license to the new pill to UN? I want to see the terms. Very suspicious. I'm not already off patent. And that is true, but who knows what they're doing? Merck and Pfizer's, they are, so there is a series which I love. I like Space Age and Space Odyssey, like uh, series and dramas and programs. So one of them is this Dark Matter, I believe. I believe it is Dark Matter, in which there are. So I forget everything. I can watch the same thing again and again. I think it is Dark Matter, in which there are big corporates that have their own spaceships and that have their own armies, and they are the lords of the galaxies and not the people and the governments and those. So we are actually seeing the lords of the of the earth, which are now Pfizer's and Merck's and these companies. I was actually surprised to see Pfizer's. I do not know um, how correct it is that I'll have to go block someone. Okay, so uh, there was a I I do not know if it is correct or not that Pfizer's contracts with the countries are that if you are not able to pay us, then we can take your lands, or we can take your army installations, and we can take your, meaning the properties that you own as a government, we can take them. And army installations and army places are also government properties, so they have them written. So I don't know. They are strong. Okay, so with this, you know what I'm going to say to you now. So let's do one more question. Robin says, thoughts of the paper, the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 variant A30 is heavily mutated and evades vaccine-induced antibody with high efficiency. I looked at it. I looked at the study as well, simulation so far. Delta Plus has been looked at, I believe, more before as well. I would do some more studies too. I think we'll be okay, but let me read up a little more. So, so with this, thank you very much for today. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share if you can. If none of that, then just like, and that would tell YouTube to say, okay, show it to everyone. And then if you would like to support this work, there are links in the description. You can buy me a coffee, or be a patron, or use PayPal to support it. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.